back, Wagoneers, to another exciting episode of the Wasted Wagons podcast. And today we have a much smaller room with us today. We don't have any special guests. We actually have the original five sitting in here today. We have Pat with us. We have Mike. We have Todd. We have Sean. And we have myself. We have the original guys that are on the picture of the Wasted Wagons podcast. Again, it's been a couple weeks since we last did a pod. Since we last did one, and actually just happened yesterday, there was a big sports card convention out at the Pontchartrain Center that a few of us went to. And I was just wondering what everybody thought of it or what their hauls were that they came home with.
Well, Travis, I went to the card show with Alex, and man, let me tell you, it was a great show. It was huge. Talking about the amount of people that went.
Was it huge?
It was huge. Very huge. But no, man, when I pulled up, that parking lot was already full at 10 a.m. They opened at 9, but at 10, man, they were already full. I had to park all the way in the back. So I was like, okay, well, it's gonna be packed. I walked in. Now, mind you, they had a Comic-Con right next door, and that, to me, it seemed like they were attracting a lot of people as well. So between the Comic-Con and the card show,
where was the Comic-Con?
Right,
It's basically like they put up a wall outside.
It's like two events happening in the same place.
But you had to pay two separate entry fees.
Wow,
so you paid one entry fee to go to the card show, one to go to Comic-Con. I'm sure some people did both.
Like, what if I walk through this black curtain? Will you stop me?
No, yeah.
I think last year was what, 5 for the card show, 10 if you went to Comic-Con, something like that. Yeah.
So it was 10. It was 10 for the card show, and I was a little disappointed because it was last year. I thought I remembered it being like 12 and under got in free. This year they said it was 10 or under 10 got in free. So if it was 10 and over, you had to pay. So I paid $20 to get in for me and Carson, and Todd paid 10 apiece for him and Tandem. So.
Yeah.
But I didn't see how much the Comic-Con was.
But I walked in, and it was packed full of people. They had a lot of vendors, a lot of cards. Again, they had the two auditoriums like next to each other of just cards, which that was very nice. They had some nice hauls. I found some nice things. I didn't buy as much as last year. But the cards that I did get, I thought were good deals.
Well, do you want to tell us what kind of cards you got?
Well, yeah. I know Alex got a Steph Curry. We got, I think, one Drew Brees that was like graded, 10 graded. I think we got, what else did we get? He wanted another Aaron Judge that was graded. They had this one stand all the way in the back, and it was you buy one for 12 or two for 20. So we ended up buying a couple from that guy. But one of the cards that I walked out with was a Donald Trump card.
So you did buy one?
I ended up buying the cheaper $10 Donald Trump card. They had an amazing Playboy edition of Donald Trump when he was younger. He did a Playboy cover. And
with a chick, not him by himself.
No, it was him and a chick. And man, it took every ounce of me not to buy that.
What held you from buying this one?
It was $40. So, but immediately after,
price gouging.
No,
They have price for it.
I left there, and I was in the car, and I was Googling like, okay, how much is this card? And dude, I did not find that card cheaper than like $60 online. So I think that was a pretty decent price for that card. It's just at the time I'm not gonna spend $40
on a piece of cardboard.
On a piece of cardboard. So, but they also had another cool Playboy I showed y'all earlier. It was a Conehead with the Dan Aykroyd and Pamela Anderson on it.
Was that really Pamela Anderson?
Yeah.
It was?
Oh yeah. No.
Well, I'm saying
You've seen that with
I know from
I know.
Well, because I didn't think that was her. Because Dan Aykroyd married Donna Dixon, who was like a Playboy playmate. Yeah, he actually married some hot chick like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they're still married, but yeah, he was married.
And I think it was Pamela Anderson. And that was really cool. That was only $10. I probably could have gotten that. But,
Yeah, I mean, if
I had a good time.
I mean, if you think about it, you buy both of those, the one you bought and the Conehead one, you're still $20 cheaper than just buying that one Donald Trump card.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I had a good time with the kid. He was all into it, which really it's all why I go, because I see how much he's into it, and I'm surprised.
So after all, like that was one of the big things that Todd and I used to do. When our dad probably got tired of taking us to card shows and card shops and dropping us off and just letting us sit there for a couple hours and buy cards. So I am glad, just like you said, that my son is into it again too. He's kind of reinvigorated the idea of me getting my collection going again. But yeah, I had a good time as well. The one thing I was a little disappointed in, I'm a cheapskate. I'm not going to go there and buy the cards that are worth a couple $100. I'm not that kind of collector. I actually like to go look for the dollar boxes, the quarter boxes. And I found at this one those stands were a little bit fewer and further between than they have been at previous shows. But I did make out with a good haul. I actually have mine right here. I actually got a bunch of Phillip Rivers. I was able to find a bunch of him in the quarter boxes. Got a couple of Christian Yelich's, a couple of Saints players, and Lattimore and Alave, Andreas Jimenez of the Guardians, a couple of Larry Fitzgeralds. Got a really cool Wade Boggs. I think that was probably my favorite one I got at the show, just because how awesome it looks. Really cool Joey Votto. But again, yeah. All of this, I'm looking at y'all, see how thick this deck of cards is that I'm holding in my hand, and all of it probably costs maybe $25-$30. So I'm walking away happy, and my son probably walked away with an equally big deck of cards for about the same amount.
Big deck, huh?
Yep. And he likes guys like Jose Ramirez and Pete Alonso and CeeDee Lamb and guys like that. He was able to pull in a few of those cards. But yeah, it's all overall real good time, and it's crazy how you go there, and I'm saying that the dollar boxes and the quarter boxes were fewer and further between, but we were still there for probably 2.5 hours, and it didn't feel like we were there that long. So time does go, and again, we all made some good purchases. So overall, really glad we went. How about you, Todd? What'd you walk away with?
Mainly, I sent you guys a picture last night. Mainly, what I walked away with was a bunch of Fernando Tatis Jr.'s and Adley Rutschmans. And I couldn't really find at the last card show went to Adley Rutschmans for decent prices. So that's mainly who I was looking for. He's one of my current favorite MLB players. And I feel like a lot of the cards I saw at the last card show went to overpriced. But this time around, I was finding them for 50 cents, $2, $3. So I was able to walk away with a bunch of really cool Adley Rutschman cards. And the number of Tatises that I found, and not only the number I found, but really cool looking cards. I mean, I think Mike even commented, I really like that hot sauce card. That's a really cool card. And there was one called Unleash where he had like a snake and I think a lion on the side of him. It's a really cool card.
The Goodwin Champions one. It was pretty fun.
So I was actually able to find a lot of recently priced cards at this one that I couldn't find last time. I think that's what impressed me the most about yesterday's card show as opposed to the last one. One thing that always ceases to amaze me at these card shows is the number of $200, $300 cards that you walk past these vendors selling it. I just wonder who's paying this much for
$1,000 card.
A little 3-inch piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
I certainly don't have that money in my bank account to be paying that much, but obviously some people do. I watched a documentary a couple of years back on Netflix called "The Jack of All Trades," which is basically about the '90s and how cards were a big thing then, and basically by the end of the documentary, they said that cards were absolutely worth nothing. So even though they were priced at this price in Beckett's, and that people were paying all this money for these cards, that in the end they weren't really worth anything, because they had X number of they had more of the card published than they originally said they did. So they weren't really worth it as much, and I think that's why cards kind of went dead for a long period of time, and now have recently started to resurface where they actually are printing less cards than before.
Yeah.
So I guess where I'm going is I guess some of these cards are worth a lot of money nowadays, but I don't have the money to spend on.
Hey, look, if
If
it's like autographed and have the jersey, patch on them, I guess you could say, well, that might be a little different. But just like a regular card that's worth.
And I'll admit, like I really do
$300.
like the cards that have like the pieces of the jersey on them. I think those are really cool.
Yeah, I think it was cool. But now, one thing that I failed to mention with my haul, we actually did go there and specifically for one card, and we had gone to Shogo and Marksman looking for Paul Skeens, the Pirates Paul Skeens cards, and man, they didn't go lower than $60. Like that was the cheapest Paul Skeens rookie cards that you could find. And again, just like Todd said, we're not gonna spend $60 on a card. So we went on a mission to go to this card show to get one Paul Skeens, because we have an LSU, we have a couple LSU Paul Skeens, but we don't have the Pirates rookie card. And we finally found one for $10, and that was like probably one of my favorite cards that we walked out of there with. I thought we got a deal, I guess, but.
So do you and Alex keep y'all's collections together, or do you have you a separate?
Yeah, the only thing that I pulled out that is sitting on my nightstand is one that I picked up.
You're not gonna mention it again?
I'm not gonna mention it again. I mentioned it earlier.
Okay.
But no, we keep, me, Alex, and Luke. Luke has actually started collecting cards as well, and we all keep it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
My son and I keep ours separate. He collects a little bit different than me. He'll just randomly say like, oh, I don't have one of this guy yet, and I'll get it. And where I'm just like, I'll just take my favorite players and kind of build a big deck of them. But what did Camden get at the show? I know he seemed to be on a mission to try to find a certain type of card.
He did get a really nice Austin Hayes that, he was kind of devastated when Austin Hayes got traded away from the Orioles, and still one of his current favorite players, but he found a really nice Austin Hayes. He was looking for a couple of Matt Chapmans. I don't think he came away with any Matt Chapmans. Is there another specific card you had in mind? Like
He was looking for autographs.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was looking. So one big thing that Camden seems to get in packs now, and I guess this is kind of current now. When you open packs, some of them will have autographed players in it, and most of them are relatively small name players. So that's what he was looking for, and he walked away with a couple of players who are, I guess, kind of known guys, but he got them for reasonable prices.
They did have a guy there
big
with
names.
he had a big section of autograph ones for $3.
Yeah, I think Ramon Laureano was probably the biggest name autograph that he walked away with. I mean, some of these other guys, he's like trying to tell me who they are, and it's like, yeah, this is this Jorge Alfaro. He was that catcher you liked for the Rockies that played against the Braves when we went and saw him. I was like, I don't think it was him, but maybe it was. But Ramon Laureano was the only one that he walked away I think that I've actually heard of.
The only thing with those is you got to watch, because a lot of them are like them auto.
Were there any good collectibles there that I remember so I didn't go this year, I went last year, and I remember like there was one guy that was selling the replicas of like the championship rings for some collegiate teams, a couple helmets from both collegiate and pro teams, some jerseys here and there too.
Yeah.
What was the collectible situation kind of like?
So I saw one, again, Paul Skeens. It was a signed baseball and one card that was signed. It was put together in like this little wooden base with the baseball, like a cover, a clear cover, and then the card like kind of on its little stand, and the guy wanted $650. And I was like, okay, man, you know. But that same guy, his name was Chuck, I think, Chucks or something. I don't remember. But that same guy sold a Paul Skeens LSU jersey, signed LSU jersey in a very nice frame, and it went for like $2,500. And we saw it. We were like looking at it. We walked away to the second room. We walked back. It was gone. So somebody ended up picking it up. So, but we did. I saw the guy with the rings. One thing I was telling them earlier that really caught my eye, not so much as a collectible, but just like the cool factor. They got this guy that makes his own cards. It's on a slab. And he takes like a jersey patch and he puts it like in the background, and then he puts like a sticker of the player like in between the level, like it's a multi-level kind of card, all handmade, and it looked kind of 3D-ish. And he had a bunch of players, a bunch of teams like that, and I thought it was really neat. I hadn't seen that before. He was selling them for like $25 each. Again, they're worthless, you know, but like cool factor, it was a 10. 10 cool factor for sure.
They had that. I don't know if you remember this last year. I saw the guy last year as well. But right when you walk in, basically right next to Mark Man's stand, is they have a guy selling like old school Saints memorabilia, like old school Saints bobbleheads, old school like Saints dolls, things like that. All of them, all of it's pretty vastly overpriced. He had a 4-pack of the little mini bobbleheads from the Saints championship year that had Shockey, Bush, Breeze, and Sharper in it, and he was selling it for like $130 or something like that. So. Some cool stuff, but like
Sharper's not cheaper than that.
Yeah, well, you probably take him out the box and
probably sell it without the Sharper.
You cut $30 off just because he's in it. Yeah. But a lot of memorabilia was a little bit overpriced, you know. So then we didn't walk away with any of that.
Well, I mean, it's funny that Patrick brought that up because I remember back in the day when we used to go to the Travel Lodge like every month to go to the card shows. I mean, those are things I used to look for, is the memorabilia. Travis and I used to collect, if you look around Travis's man cave, he's got them kind of scattered around. We used to collect with the little Corinthian headliner figures, with little figures with the gigantic heads. And of course, we collect bobbleheads. There's not a whole lot of that now, whereas you used to see that back in the day at the Travel Lodge, where a bunch of vendors were selling figures like that, whether it be the Corinthian headliners or the starting lineup figures. Not too much of that anymore.
No, not at all. I didn't.
What's the brand of sports action figure that they're like normal size, like almost like football players, and sometimes on their little pedestal.
Starting lineup,
yeah.
Yep.
See, well, I was a fan of those back in the day, and like I'm not as big into cards. I would rather collectibles and maybe pay, like I said, I want to pay $60 for something. I'd rather be an action figure or a collectible as opposed to a card per se.
Absolutely.
Just the cards are cool. But, like, walking into, like, my room and seeing, like, some of my, it's like some old fat heads and some of the starting lineup figures, it's just way more, it puts a smile on my face more than looking at some of my cards.
Sure. Yeah. So I agree with that, just in the sense, like, when you look, like, at the stack of cards, once I get them all in top loaders, are going to go into a box, you know, whereas if you see a figurine, for me, it's displayed up on a shelf. So I'm going to see it a lot more than I see my cards, unless I take my cards out just to look at them on a daily basis, which doesn't happen. So I definitely agree with that.
Now, another type of figure that Patrick may have been referring to, kind of like the modern day starting lineup figures, McFarlane used to make them. And if you look at the figure that Travis has right there of Ryan Nugent Hopkins, and I think he's got one of Corey Kluber.
Yeah.
They used to be called McFarlane figures. I think it exchanged the name, and it's now like Dragon Imports.
Dragon Imports,
he doesn't make them anymore?
I think they're now called Dragon Imports. But those are kind of like the modern day starting lineups, and they're a little more detailed and a little more money than starting lineups used to be.
Because McFarlane used to also make a bunch of like cartoon ones as well.
McFarlane was the one that drew like Spawn and stuff like that.
Yes. So, and going back to why I prefer the figures over the cards, working at KB Toys, we had a lot more access to.
Never knew that.
Yeah. First real job outside of working for my dad. I worked at the toy store in Elmwood when it was up there right at the corner before you go into the walkway to the hall for the fitness center.
They have KB toys out there?
Yeah.
Shit.
This is probably.
I was thinking Lakeside Mall. Yeah.
There was one in Lakeside for sure.
Right by Dillard's.
Yeah. So I worked there probably 90, 98, 99, because I think I was right before college. I was a freshman in college before I moved to Best Buy. But yeah, we used to have. I used to get all first dibs on like the model cars, be it die-cast or plastic piece together kit, and then all the McFarlane figures, all the starting lineup figures. I had a bunch of those. So as I've gotten older and back into collecting on some small scale level, that's what my focus is more on those than say cards. I have cards here and there for certain events or certain players, but like the upper echelon of my favorite players. I'm not going to get like say a random, I don't know, pick. I'm not going to have a Robert Griffin III card or something like that. It's just I'm not going to have a mid tier like player. I'd have like one of my favorite players like a Marshall Faulk. I remember having multiple Marshall Faulks in starting lineup like that. So.
A quick question, because you just said something that was pretty interesting to me when you said you had first dibs on model cars and things like that. So I know you weren't, Funko Pops didn't come out till well after your KB days.
Mm-hmm.
But Funkos have their special versions called Chase, which they only put so many in a big box that they ship to these toy stores. So if you worked at KB and you opened up a box of these Funko Pops, would those employees have first access to those Chase pots before they hit the shelves?
Probably so.
I would like to tell you no, that we just open the box and put them on the shelf when or doing overnights and stuff like that. But absolutely, there were figures that I saw,
and we've never seen them in the fucking store.
and not so much that they were maybe worth more, or like we were collecting them to then sell or flip. It was more of when back in the Greatest Show on Turf Days of the Rams. I absolutely had a Marshall Faulk in both home and away jersey. I had a Kurt Warner in that. And, I mean, sure, more than one or two probably went to the shelf, yes, but I got to see all of them first, and I bought a lot of them probably beforehand. Or they'd go on the shelf, and then as soon as the store would open, there would be no one there because it's 9 o'clock in the morning on like or whatever day of the week. I'd be like, oh, well, store's open. Anyone can come in and buy it. And I would just go grab off the shelf and buy it. I did that a ton. Mostly with die-casts and Hot Wheels, because we had a lot of Hot Wheels collectors that would come into the store and want to buy a 97-cent Hot Wheels car because it was a limited edition or whatever the case may be. And we ended up making deals with some of those guys, and we would tell them, hey, we're getting a delivery on, say, a Wednesday night. They're going to go out on Thursday. If you want to come into the store at the end of the night, I'll show you what we have, and I'll put it to the side for you for Thursday like that. Sure, we did that.
Okay.
But I don't think there was anything, at least on my end, that I knew was of extreme value or super rare that I would withhold. Probably, I'm sure one or two of my buddies did because they were more into some of the sports stuff and I was more into cars. But yeah, I'm sure some things they probably would have kept. But yeah, those were definitely perks of one of the big perks of the job.
I always wondered that because the big thing was like when Funkos first came out, Toys R Us used to get a huge supply of them, and Todd worked at Grace King at the time and would go on his lunch break and go look through, see what they had new. But I don't think I ever saw a Chase that was actually in the store. Now maybe people got there right when they opened and went and bought them, or again maybe the employees kind of said, "Oh, I'll take that and pay for it with my employee discount or whatever." But you never really saw too many of them on the shelf.
Yeah, I can't speak for all the stores, but definitely like our bosses, if they didn't care about it, then they're like, "Hey, I'm going to ask you not to do that, so that the customers can actually buy some of the stuff." That honestly, I took more advantage of video games that were released, like when Madden was releasing. We would get it a week early, and I would literally give my boss money in cash. Here, put this in the office and save it for a week ahead of time. But I would take the game and take it home and have it a week early beforehand. I was going to buy it anyway.
Say, how early would stores like Best Buy get? There's a release day, but then you get the stock. How soon before that?
So probably 3 to 5 business days.
Okay.
Yeah, I can distinctly remember like one of the early Madden 0102 coming out, and it was in the warehouse a week before, and we had to literally hold it to the side and put it in a box that was unmarked so we couldn't tell everybody it was Madden.
Yeah.
But the warehouse guys knew, and they would come like, "Hey, the Maddens just came in," and we would kind of tell when the deliveries came in.
Because I remember that at Best Buy when I'm like, when you actually have to get CDs and things like on release day and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like I'd go to Best Buy and it's like it was like a new release out. I knew it was coming out that day. It would still be on the rolling cart. They didn't even make it out to the shelf.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wait, I want one of those. And
Yeah, a lot of stuff they knew, like Madden, per se, back at the toy store, we knew it was going to sell out. So maybe you got 30 copies on for week 1.
Yeah.
By the time it actually dropped on that day, there might be 25 available. So a few employees would take some, but not very many. Or what we would do, we would take the game out and demo one. So, because we used to have these glass cases where all the games are displayed, and the console was in the case and would have a TV above it. So we'd get it, open it early, and we would then let kids come in and play the game before it came out. So that was kind of our thing. Like if our boss ever asked, or the GM was like, "Why is this? What's it with the game?" Like, "Oh, well, we want to let kids and like customers preview it." So we put it in the console and and then when it was slow during the day, we would just play video games all day. All we did was have razor scooter races and go through new inventory and play video games behind the counter until we had to like ring up somebody for whatever.
Nice. Hard. Fun job, actually.
Dude, as a 17-year-old making probably $17,000 a year because I was working so much and had some overnights.
Dang.
Yeah, that's how I paid for like all the car shit that I bought when I turned 18. It's fun times. I miss those days. I would
living at home while you were working.
Living at home, going to UNO, and every dollar I had was I was working and going buying car parts. And yeah,
I had a bunch of jobs, different little dead end jobs, cutting grass and moving company and all kinds of stuff.
You and Brian did.
All the money that I made from that went into like the stupidest shit.
That was my parents'
No,
thing. They were like,
cell phone accessories, like the little cell phone antenna that lit up, and like
the Nokia,
the Nokia stuff,
A little Jaguar in the middle.
yeah, just dumb shit.
buying ringtones.
Yeah,
Buying 99-cent ringtones.
buying ringtones.
Jesus.
Had all the hotness.
Yeah, I remember a fire case for the Nokia.
I Nokia had a lightning
light-up
bolt
antennas.
cover and it had the light up antenna that you screw up.
Yep.
Yeah, this is dumb fucking shit.
Not to derail this, but speaking of nostalgia, did you realize that MySpace is still actually active?
Not, is it really?
Yeah.
I was hanging out with a friend trying to kill some time one night before this. So this is right when I met y'all at the tattoo shop. I was there beforehand before I realized I was running out of time. I was talking to a friend, and she was like, "Yeah, I got a notification about MySpace." I'm like, and we got talking about how you had your top 4, top 8, or whatever in MySpace. You could like do your page layout,
Top eight friends, yeah.
yeah, and do all that. And she's like, "Yeah, MySpace is still active." I'm like, "What?" So I literally dropped what I was looking at on my phone.
People with old school MySpace spaces.
Yeah,
Can you just still log in? And
I remember.
I don't remember my login.
I remembered my login name, but not the password.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go on MySpace, request forgot email, put in I remembered my AOL email, which is somewhat around. Went through that, requested, got the email, and got back into my old MySpace, and my old top 4, 8, whatever is still there with some photos.
Wait. Is it about 350 Racing?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? 350?
Yeah.
About 350 Racing at AOL.com?
Still active. You can still reach me right now to this day. I don't use it very often, but it's still there. But my MySpace is now active again.
That's hilarious.
Jamie's AOL when she was a kid was Thunder Thighs 2K1.
2K1.
That's great.
Thunder Thighs 2K1. And this was in the 99, 2000.
Shit. I had
As it should.
Hey, I had Butt Baby 99. And 99 was
Butt Baby?
That was from South Park, and then 99 was the year. So there was Officer Bar Brady, and they were calling him Officer Butt Baby. And I didn't even think about the repercussions of my screen name being Butt Baby. You think, well, you gay or something? And so I made it Butt Baby 99. That was an old screen name.
Sir, what's your email address? B-U-G-G.
I had a
Don't worry about that.
I think it was like buttbaby99 at AOL.com or something.
Sean was like one of those kids that the guidance counselor in high school had. They'd be like, yeah, well, when you go to college, you're going to have to change your email. Something a little more professional.
Yeah.
But Patrick, you mentioned meeting Todd and I at the tattoo shop. Just kind of curious, do you want to tell the world what kind of tattoo you want to get?
This happened already?
This happened, yeah.
When was this?
No, I don't have the tattoo.
I know, but you met them at the tattoo shop.
So yeah, Todd and I went, I guess it was about 2 weeks
About
ago.
a week or two, yeah.
And set up an appointment for our tattoos that we're going to get to kind of, commemorate our dad. And Patrick said he wanted to come along to see what the process was like and whatnot.
They City View?
Yeah.
Right next to Venetian?
Yep. So bottom line is Todd's going on September 4th, and I'm going on September 9th. We were trying to get the same date, but
That's right around Labor Day, right?
right after.
When is Labor Day? It's like September something.
Yeah, September 1st.
Oh.
I think it's the first. I think it's the August 30th and September 1st is the Labor Day weekend.
Okay, yeah.
Because we're doing the draft on the 24th.
Right. Yeah, the opening
second
day of NFL is like September 5th.
So
Second, yeah.
So Todd and I were trying to go on the same day and get the same guy to do them and say like, all right, maybe he could go first and I'll go second. But then the guy said Todd was going to be too detailed, so he wasn't going to be able to fit us both in the same night. So Todd's going to go on the 4th. I'm going to go on the 5th. Patrick got to meet the guy that's going to do ours, and he said he's going to come back on the 4th with Todd and go over his design with the guy Mo who does our tattoos.
Yeah, I've kind of been always kicking around the idea of getting one. It'll be my first, obviously, and I went with them just to kind of talk to the guy about, hey, what do I need to do or bring you in terms of like the design and what I'm thinking, and is anything I need to know or bring what's the process of going about scheduling, getting whatever like that. So yeah, I did a very informal, just kind of speak to the guy. He told me whenever I come back with the ideas that I have, as much information or pictures as I can bring of what I want to come back with that. I'm not going to reveal on the pod what it's going to be, but I'll tell y'all when we're not recording.
So Mo's good about if you bring in a couple of pictures and just explain to him like what you want from it, like he can make it his own. Like he can make it basically exactly what you want.
I think I kind of gave Todd and Travis, an idea of what it's going to be, or at least the concept in my head. I'll say this: it has a very personal touch for me and for my dad, and it has a little bit of New Orleans flair, New Orleans influence to it as well. But it definitely has a little personal thing for my dad. So if and when I go through with it, I just did the early steps of like figuring out what I need to do, what I need to bring him artwork wise, design wise, whatever, to kind of go from that. So I'm definitely going to go back.
It's a big decision and a big thing, So it's good that you took the time to prepare yourself to see what's needed.
It's been 6 years of off and on just thinking about it, and finally now I'm like, all right, now is a good time as any to go and do it now, especially now that I know kind of what I would want to get. So
see, I respect tattoos like that, things that have meaning, things that are personal to you, that kind of stuff. Like people that get silly things.
You mean I flip the pages in the book and just point?
It's like just a butterfly or some barbed wire.
Me in particular, I would never do something like that. But
butterfly,
hey, whatever floats your boat.
barbed wire on it.
Yeah.
Honestly, my only real reservation now is, I want to know what like the pain level is like. Like if I could just
say where you're gonna get it at.
It's gonna be a upper body, arm, somewhere.
Lower back.
Maybe. Depending upon how the first one goes. Depending on how this goes.
Is it a flower arrangement across the lower
That's what I'm
back?
saying. A butterfly with like thorns and vines next to it. Yeah.
And I mean, if I think Todd and I both have them on the shoulders, so I could say that that's probably, of the ones I have, probably the ones that were the least painful. Just because
I think the wrists were the least painful. Shoulder's not bad either. It's the ribs that hurt like hell.
Right.
You got less meat there.
Yeah. And like if I could just go in and like have like and without ink in it, like hey, just go ahead and hit it with the needle a bunch of times. Let me see how that goes. I just want to. Really my curiosity is also I just want to know what the pain.
They can do that without the ink in it. You can feel the needle.
Kind of want to
They're
know.
just
So like
feel
I
it
don't.
work in your skin.
I don't have a problem with needles. I have a problem with surprises. Like when I go and give blood, I tell the lady like, hey, when she does the fingerprint to the sample or whatever, I'm like, tell me when you're going to press the button to stab it because I just want to know. I can handle it. I just want to know. But like when they come back with the actual needle that go in my veins for the blood draw, I have no issue with that. Like it's a little pain when it goes in, but after that I'm good. So it's not. I don't think it's going to be about the pain. I just like to know when it's coming, so I can be good. Well, I'm
in
fine.
my line of work, we start IVs,
Mm-hmm.
and when we can't start an IV because you have poor vein,
Right.
we have this thing called intraosseous, which is another form of medication administration, and it goes in the bone. So literally, what that looks like is it's a big long needle,
Jesus.
and it attaches to a drill, and we do this on conscious people. And we drill the bone like in front of you, like
Right.
So if you're scared of a little needle going in your vein, you should be really afraid.
No, I'm definitely not scared of that. And as long as they tell me, hey, we're about to put the needle. Like I have good veins, so like I've never really had an issue with a needle insertion for blood draw, other than a slightly incompetent employee doing my blood draw and she missed twice. But I'm fine with the needle. It's fine.
I have had the blood work where like they were like moving it around, like poked me and like, oh, that wasn't good, and like I feel them kind of like moving around in my arm. I'm like, good lord, what are you doing?
It's discomforting, but I know it's happening and I can see it, so I'm good.
I had blood work Friday morning, and it's not so much getting the blood work done; it's like how much they're gonna take. And I noticed she had the tube with the little screw thing on the end. And it was like, wait, you're basically putting an IV in me.
Right.
And it wasn't so much being stuck. It's like I don't look. Like they wrap my arm and all that and stick it in, and I'm just like looking away. But I hear the click, pull it out, click. I'm like, how much blood are you taking out of me? It's like they had like 4 or 5 vials of
It's like
blood.
a fucking vampire.
I know. It's like to see the tube. It's like they stick that in because she's going to like, oh, next. And I'm just looking away, and I just hear click, click. Click. Like, are you done yet? Jesus Christ. Am I going to pass out in a second? You're taking 5 vials of blood out.
Starting getting pale.
So
I'm serious. I went back in the car and I had like a drink and like something to eat finally because I had to fast or whatever. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, I feel a little out of it right now. I'm just going to take a break before I start driving in case I pass out from all the blood loss.
This conversation's definitely like a 40 plus.
So I'm excited to go and watch Todd and Travis get their work done, just so I can kind of be there and get the vibe. And if I go through with it, then it'll just be the initial shock. I'm sure it's going to be like, oh hey, needles, but it's constant, like a sewing machine almost.
Well, I'm kind of like you, Pat. I don't have any tattoos. I definitely know what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about it for years. But it's just not the right time for me to do
Sure.
it. But when it's my time, I think I'm gonna be exactly like you. I'm gonna go find out, like who I want to do, who would I let do it? First of all, and what the process.
Well, all I gotta say is when you see if you decide to say like, hey, I want to meet the guy that does Todd and Travis's, when you see the guy, you're probably gonna say like, oh, I don't know if this is the guy I want to do my tattoo. But the dude is a good artist.
I would say this: he looks like the guy you wouldn't want to see in an alleyway. I have no issue with him like being a tattoo artist like that. But if I were walking down somewhere and that dude, because he is tall and wide and he looks kind of menacing, I'd be like, okay. But it's in a place of business, I feel like he would be professional and have my best interest. So, like, I'm not worried about that. But when I first looked at him, I was like, holy fuck, that's a big.
Just don't drop the soap in front of him.
Or just don't make a derogatory comment about anything that might involve him, and be like, you might be okay.
So he's he doesn't talk much, he doesn't smile much,
Which I love.
and the first time I ever had a tattoo, because Travis was the one who recommended him to me. The first place I went, I used to go. My artist actually went to. He moved to some place in I think Boutique, and so the first time I'm getting a tattoo by the guy, he's got a beanie like pulled down like right here. So I'm just watching him do this. I was like, bro, can you even see? And I'm not saying this because, as just Patrick said, he's a pretty intimidating looking dude. So it's like he's got his beanie pulled down to his eyes. I'm just sitting here thinking, this dude can't fucking see. But then the tattoo comes out good, so you're like, all right, you can see.
Wow.
So look, you can't judge a book by the cover when you see the guy.
No, definitely not.
Because he does some good work.
Is it stereotypical to say most tattoo artists look like shady individuals?
Well, the weird thing about him is like he has no tattoos on his arms. So they're all kind of covered.
That's like you're saying most tattoo artists are covered in tattoos.
I think he's got them. I think he's got them on his shoulders and his chest.
Yeah.
He even has some on his head, but you can barely see him on his head because he's got his hat on all the time.
That's not a shock.
But he has none on his forearm, so he's not one that's covered top to bottom. But again, the guy does awesome work, and pretty much anything you give him, he can make it look just like the picture. So. Very detailed, so he hits it a bunch of times to make it look just like you want it. But anyway, I guess moving on from tattoos, one of the things that we have a couple of people threw out some movies that they wanted to discuss a little bit. I know Todd and I recently saw the movie Twisters. And look, I gotta say,
With whom?
he's just a friend.
A friend.
You say he's just a friend. Oh, baby, you got what he needs. But you say he's just a friend.
We gotta get copyrighted, bro.
Oh, shit.
Copyright infringement.
Copyright infringement.
Well, no, it sounds so bad, we might be okay.
Hey, we shout out to Biz Marquee.
It's neither here nor there. So who we went with. It was just me. It's just pretend.
Was it bottomless popcorn?
How was the twisting? Was a lot of twisting in the movie?
The movie Twisters was actually very good.
Twisters was interesting, but the movie itself was okay too.
I was surprised because most remakes aren't as good as the original, but Twisters was actually really good.
I thought it was technically a sequel.
So yeah, I was going to ask, was it a sequel or was it just like a remake?
It was a remake.
Okay.
It was a long movie.
2 hours, maybe.
So they had a potty break in between.
An intermission.
Sure. I mean, anybody's welcome to go use the restroom during the movies.
Okay.
But no, this one was not a sequel per se. It was a remake of the movie, but it didn't really follow the same exact storyline as the old Helen Hunt movie. But it was, I will say, just very action packed. I generally don't really like going to see movies in the Dolby Theater because I think the tickets are overpriced and nothing really happens that much.
The seats tingle in your butthole.
The seat vibrates a little bit. But I'll say this one was actually really good to see in Dolby because of the fact that of all the action. Tornadoes ripping stuff apart made for a lot of noise, a lot of movement in the seats.
Look, I've told you this before.
The Richard
Man, I used to love the old school Twisters, the original.
Bill Paxton, rest in peace.
Man, he was a good actor there, in that movie. And I used to see that movie. Buku times.
I've seen it. I watched it.
We went to Universal, like when I was a kid. We went to the Twister ride. I thought that was.
I never got to
pretty
ride
cool.
that one.
So yeah, I can only imagine the new movie how cool it is. Especially in that Dolby.
Were the effects as good as the old movie?
Since we're talking about Bill Paxton, just to throw this out there, there was a series that he made probably shortly before he died. It was a miniseries called Texas Rising. Very good. Just check it out.
So yeah, I went into Twisters not with a lot of huge expectations. Like I liked the old one. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was anything great, but I did. As far as I haven't really seen that many great movies that I do want to pull me to the theater. Patrick's about to talk a little bit about Deadpool and Wolverine. That's one, and then I'll mention another one before we close our movie talk that really does want to get me to the movies. But Twisters is one I was kind of like give or take, like, yeah, maybe I want to go, maybe I don't. But I am glad I went. It was a really good movie. There's a lot of action in it, and if you have not seen Twisters, I would do yourself a favor to see it. But what about Glenn Powell?
Was Glenn Powell shirtless?
He wasn't shirtless, but he did have that tight white T-shirt on with the cowboy hat. And
He's a handsome man. That's what it is.
drove the women crazy. Maybe some men. You know.
Maybe some men that we know. You know. Certain man.
Might have requested the extra buttery popcorn.
But overall, like I said, if you haven't seen Twisters, I would recommend going to see it. Good, definitely good watch.
They did make a Twisters popcorn bucket. You know, like
Could you imagine if they did though? What would the Twister bucket be shaped like?
Probably
like a cone?
like a vortex.
A cone shape.
Yeah, like a vortex.
It'd be like a big funnel with a hole at the bottom.
But do you think it would have? But would it have some texture to it, like some ribbing? So like like a Twister is like got a cylinder, but like it's not like a perfect cone shape. Like would it be like just maybe morphed on one side or just a bit mangled looking like that? As if like you had something that had like a vein kind of like
look like a Twister, yeah.
Like it would be dark too.
Pat, I see where you're going with this.
yeah, cone shape, but like no cone, like no Twister shape. It looks perfect. It's always like kind of like moved to the side. I was like got like a curve to it.
Like
Yeah, it's not a perfect cone.
Yeah, it's
got
It would definitely be ribbed for his pleasure.
It would definitely have a curve to it of some sort, or an angle. Be at an angle.
Are you trying to say it would look like a fleshlight?
Not exactly, but maybe.
No, those are too beautiful.
More sprouty at the top.
But what if
More sprouty at the
what if your hand isn't curved enough to reach the bottom?
Well, then different kind of Twister tactics, I guess. That's a different kind of Twister movie.
Oh god. Well, cool. Like I said, if you haven't seen Twisters yet, I would definitely go see it. Very action packed. Again, I don't normally recommend seeing movies in Dolby, but if you get a chance to see this one in Dolby, it might be worth the extra couple of dollars.
You
can't miss
It did.
Dolby.
Vibrated.
Playing for an intermission.
Plenty of booty hole vibrations from the Dolby seats. Absolutely.
At the bottom of your scrotum.
Only from the seats.
Maybe a little from something else. But, Pat, I know a lot of us in here have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine, maybe 4 out of 5 of us, but I know we all want to.
Oh man.
But would you like to tell us a little bit about that without revealing too much to it?
So yeah, I'm not a big spoiler guy, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail about the movie for you. Yes, I saw the first two. I am not a big MCI Marvel Cinema person.
Okay.
Where's mine, Mike?
I only got 3.
Well, why don't you give me one and you get another one?
Where do you have?
Where'd you get these from?
Buddy, I'm sorry. I meant to give it to y'all earlier.
So first,
You want it?
yeah, hold on, I gotta check my constituents. The movie.
Should I wear this to work?
I see a lot of people that were kind of shitting on the movie online about maybe it wasn't as good or like the plot or it's not.
I thought it was great.
It was great. I was extremely entertained. There was a lot of they made fun of the Marvel franchise a lot and like some of the shortcomings of recent movies in the series or the universe or whatever. The action was really good. The one-liners and dialogue was really good. The storyline made sense and nothing was really far-fetched, I would say. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds crushed his role. Hugh Jackman did great. There's a few cameos, without getting into details of like some characters that showed up, and then the actors that played them were done really well. The woman that played Charles Xavier's sister was excellent in the movie.
I don't remember he had a sister.
Is this a new character?
Yeah.
I believe she is. She was not in the first two.
Okay.
So and again,
Definitely not the first few Deadpool, but
yeah. So so someone who does not follow or know the Marvel backstories of movies a whole lot, I'm assuming she's a new character, but she was great in the movie. Whoever the actress is, she was casted very well. she played her role very well as being evil, but not like super demonic. But like the dialogue was very well suited for her. The action was really good. The one-liners were great. I love the movie. I don't know how anyone could really shit on the movie, because it was very well done overall. It wasn't super long. It didn't drag on. There were maybe I couldn't think of one part where I was like, man, this is just not needed, and it doesn't. If it wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't lose anything. Whereas, like, say maybe the last Thor movie, Love and Rock or whatever that movie's called, they had some parts of that movie I think like that could be gone. That didn't mean anything. Not useful. Every scene in this movie seemed like it was well thought out enough to like it belongs and was part of the story arc.
It didn't drag on, basically.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it was a good. I think the movie was maybe 2 hours, 2:10-ish, like that.
Intermission break.
No, but it you didn't fly through it, but it felt like the right amount of time to give a story, have a lot of action, into really good action.
Did you get the Wolverine
no
container?
No, I didn't even think about that. Nor would I have paid. I think it was like $20-$30 for that.
Jesus.
For that souvenir cup. My roommate saw it like opening like weekend, and he got it. But I think Russell...
Was it rubber lined on the inside?
The outside is rubber lined. The inside is just a plastic, like hard plastic.
Was ribbed for his pleasure?
I guess. It does have some texture to it, yeah.
It is textured.
It is textured, yeah.
So when you finish eating the popcorn...
Well, it's a drink cup, not a popcorn cup.
Oh, it's a drink cup?
It's a drink cup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a hard plastic with Wolverine rubber.
It looked cool. I do got to say, I saw a picture of it.
I think there's a Deadpool one too, but I haven't seen what it looked like. I just saw the one that my roommate has. But yes, would recommend. I'd probably go see it again if like you guys want to go see it. I'd probably do a guy's night to go see it.
Funny parts.
Oh yeah. One-liners were great. Both. And Hugh Jackman had some really good lines, too. A couple other characters had some really good lines. But, yes, obviously, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool was the majority of the comedy in the movie. But, like, I think the best part about the comedy aspect was that they made fun of Marvel and Disney so much in the movie. Like, I like self-deprecating humor. They definitely brought out a lot of that, talking about Marvel and having some dud movies in Disney and how characters are going to get overworked now that they're in the Disney sphere or whatever.
Well, I would like to try to look at my weekend schedule next weekend and try to fit it in, to be honest with you. Because I feel like I'm the last person on the planet that's seen it. Everyone's telling me it's the best one. And, of course, I'm scrolling through Facebook feeds and a bunch of spoilers keep popping up, so it's like, if I don't see it soon, I'm going to the whole goddamn movie before I see it.
Does that have Gambit? And that's Matt Damon or somebody playing Gambit?
You really want to spoil that?
No.
Channing Tatum.
Is it? Oh, Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Gambit is in the movie.
You're right.
Played by Channing Tatum. So yeah, the only reason I saw it because I got free tickets because one of my work associates couldn't go, so they just kind of passed them along. But I would have eventually seen it probably, but it wasn't like something that was top of my mind to go do. But well worth the. I think the tickets were like after tax were like $38. So for two, yeah. But
did y'all see it in Dolby?
Yeah, it was Dolby. Very good movie though. So yeah, definitely check it out. Hopefully you all guys can go see it soon though.
Speaking of the cool popcorn buckets / drink cups that these movies are offering, I actually saw and this is, we talk about there's not a whole lot of movies that come out to the theater that I actually really want to get out the house to go see. This is one of them, and I saw that they recently released all the popcorn buckets and drink cups for this movie, and that is Beetlejuice, which I am super excited to see.
Yep.
And my sister, whose birthday is coming up towards the end of September, actually requested that that's what she wants to do for her birthday. She would like to go with me and Todd, our wives and kids, and my mom to go see Beetlejuice all together as a family. So we're going to do that for her birthday, and I'm pretty excited.
That'd be pretty cool if y'all dressed up too.
Yeah. I can dress up as Alec Baldwin.
My child actually is obsessed with Beetlejuice right now. She likes Wednesday and Jenna Ortega, who's in it, and so she's like super excited to see it. We watched Beetlejuice like twice in one weekend one time. It's it's perfect age, perfect everything. She wants to go see it.
Well, if you're having, like Travis just mentioned, all like the popcorn buckets and the cups and stuff that are coming out for that. If you haven't seen it, like one thing my sister said she wanted was was it a popcorn bucket or was it a cup? It's the sandworm.
That's the popcorn
It's a
bucket.
popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. They're starting to come out with all kind of cool stuff.
Well, you know, I mean, look at Travis has the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride popcorn bucket from Disney World hanging right there. You should also get the Figment one since he's a Figment fan.
Wait, what? Is that that thing?
Yeah, the little thing on the lanyard.
That's a popcorn bucket?
Yeah. Yep. And Disney has a bunch of them. They sell now. They come on a lanyard and they hang around your neck and just eat the fucking popcorn bucket.
Each park has their own one.
Okay.
Not sure which one Hollywood Studios has, but Epcot has a Figment one, Animal Kingdom has a Simba one, and Magic Kingdom has the Mr. Toad one. Hollywood Studios may have something Star Wars or Toy Story or something like that. But speaking on that one, I know I shared it in the group text earlier that Disney World announced that they're going to open a Monsters Incorporated section to Hollywood Studios, which looks pretty darn cool. So that's something to kind of look forward to in the next couple of years, and get excited about.
Not just that, though. I mean, not aside from, I think the Monsters Inc. part look the coolest because they have like an actual suspension coaster where you're kind of hanging. But they also announced that there's going to be like Cars Land now, and they're adding the Frontierland, the Magic Kingdom, and there's going to be a Villains Land, and also Magic Kingdom. I think it's going to probably be around where Fantasyland is.
Ooh, that'd be pretty cool.
And they're having a Kanto Land somewhere else. I don't quite remember what it was.
Kanto?
So Disney seems to be giving us some more stuff.
And Smuggler's Run is adding Mandalorian things to it.
So Disney World's giving us some more stuff to look forward to. I think they're trying to keep pace with all the expansions that Universal are doing. But
Universal's opening a new park in 2025.
Nintendo stuff.
Well, it's like they're going to call it the Epic. I heard this yesterday actually. It's like Mario World.
Well, Disney World already has the Super Nintendo World.
Well, this
Disneyland.
Yeah, this one's gonna be like Mario World.
Train of Dragons is going to be one of them.
Yeah, something like that. There's like 5 different little things in that park. 5 lands or something in that park.
It's almost like,
cool.
It's almost like you have to set a 2-week trip just to go to Orlando to go see all these parks between Universal and Disney World now. Rather do 2 separate trips, So, outside of that, we can jump kind of back into sports world here, and what recently wrapped up this Olympics was, this weekend was the Olympics. So, does anybody have anything that they want to add?
Oh man, yeah, I definitely watched the Olympics the last couple weeks.
Were you avidly watching the beach volleyball, Mike?
I was watching the beach volleyball. I watched a lot of track, swimming, that kind of stuff. Recently, with the track events, Noah Lyles won the 100 meter. He's the fastest man on earth. He literally won it by a tongue length.
I know, like hundredths of a second.
Yeah. So then he went back.
By a nickel.
Yeah, he won by a nickel. He won a couple days later to do the 200 meter, I believe, but that supposedly had COVID. And he got the silver or bronze.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Like he didn't perform as well on that one.
Correct. The one that really got me that I watched was St. Lucia in the women's track.
Okay.
I want to say it was the 100 meter for the women. And St. Lucia won. This jacked up, built lady, man. She was running for her life. And that was the first medal that St. Lucia has ever won.
Are we sure she was a woman?
No, yeah. She got tested. And it was really cool because as soon as she won, they showed the camera feed of St. Lucia, and all the people on the island were just going crazy. Like they reportedly were going to do like a parade for her and all kinds of stuff. So that was really cool to see. Look, I love seeing U.S. win. I love seeing other big countries win and stuff like that. But I think it's more meaningful for the little smaller countries, and seeing their struggles to get there. And a lot of these smaller countries, they don't have the funding to send their athletes and stuff. I know Mexico was struggling, and that's a big country, believe it or not. But they had issues with funding their athletes to get to Paris and all that. But that was pretty cool.
Hell, didn't we Snoop? Who was it? Flavor Flav paid for, I think, was it the polo team, or Flavor Flav ended up paying for maybe it might have been a track and field athlete to go there and to be there and to stay there to compete like that, because we don't. I think most of our teams are not funded through the actual U.S. It's all like third-party subsidies kind of thing like that. But yeah, it's crazy to see some of these small countries send these athletes and what it must cost them to go there, stay there for however long that they're there, and then come back. I didn't really honestly watch much in terms of actual events happening live recorded. I would follow it on Twitter or on online to get the results. I'm a big soccer fan. I didn't watch either. I didn't watch the women's gold medal game. I saw some highlights. I was also busy.
I did.
I watched part of the men's basketball game. I watched one or two events with Ledecky. I watched the Lyles 100 race and some of the U.S. rugby. But other than that, I didn't really watch a whole lot of Olympics. Not that I think I said this on the previous pod, I'm not as into it as I was when I was younger. I just have more stuff going on that I don't have time to tune in. But I was happy that I think we were leading on the medal count.
We tied China with gold.
We tied in gold, but we had the overall medal count.
Yeah, we surpassed everybody else. 126 medals.
Yeah. So I definitely cared in sense of our teams and individuals doing well. I saw some gymnastics, all that was really great. I just did not have enough time to watch a lot of them be obviously live or some of the replays at night. But from what I did watch, Peacock did a great job showing the events, even though they weren't live in the afternoon time. You could watch the full thing.
Yeah, they broadcast it twice.
Yeah, or you could go online and watch all of the events. You can watch every event recorded through Peacock. So that was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, that was cool. The men's basketball, I saw a couple games. I didn't see them all, obviously, but the very last one, they won the gold medal, the final. And they looked like they were close, and then at the end, they really got their shit together.
Right. Well, the semifinal against Serbia, they were down 17, I think, in the start of the third quarter, and then they finally just turned it on and pulled away at one point. But it was very, very dicey.
I think they started the quarter down 13, and they were down as low as 17, and still had to come back from that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch very much Olympics. I would actually, the most I probably caught was when I'd go to the gym before work, and then I'd be walking on the treadmill, right before I left the gym, and I was able to actually catch some rugby and some wrestling, some of more of the weird things that were on at that time. I did see the big Cuban guy end up winning the gold medal in the Greco-Roman wrestling.
He's won in 4 different Olympics.
Yeah, I saw that.
First ever.
And he left his shoes on the mat, signifying that this was going to be his last Olympics and he was retiring. But watched that. I watched a lot of rugby in the morning. And then when I'd come home in the afternoon, sometimes Heather would have it on, and we would mostly catch the long distance running, things like that. But didn't watch a whole lot of it, but the ones I did, I enjoyed.
Speaking of weird, competitions. Do you know anything about the breakdancing competition and like that whole thing that went viral with Australia?
They had that this year.
Yes. So this was the first year that they had breakdancing as one of the competitions. They already said that it will no longer be.
That's just silly.
I thought it was silly, but the headliner was this Australian chick. Goes by the name of G Girl.
Mm-hmm.
G Girl. And G Girl has a PhD. She's a professor in Australia. Has a PhD in breakdancing, supposedly. She made. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny with it, but she really did make an ass of herself. She was like doing the kangaroo like move and like some weird, funny.
I saw them talking about this.
I mean, she was doing the sprinkler and like like some crazy.
The thing I saw online was that they were like, "This looks like some just random amateur just showed up and snuck into an event."
Yes,
because she did not look like what you would expect a professional in that sport to look like, or just some really good amateurs. She did stuff that the five of us could probably do.
Absolutely.
Like the sprinkler, that's nothing.
Yeah. So she was dragging herself on the ground, like a crocodile.
She looked like a dead fish.
She looked like a dead fish. But completely made an ass of her country, I thought, but.
And it's weird how they can put breakdancing in the Olympics and basically say, like, no, this sport is no longer good for the Olympics, but then we're going to put breakdancing in. So I'm glad to hear that it might be a one and done thing.
Yeah.
I knew from the whole time, like, there's no chance I was going to watch any of that. Just the appeal is not my jam in general. And, like, it's not what I would think of the Olympics, breakdancing.
Yeah.
So if I'm not going to watch some of the traditional sports that are really entertaining, I'm damn sure not going to watch breakdancing. I don't want to poo-poo on their craft and what they do, is because I'm sure there's a lot of guys and women that dedicate a lot of time to breakdancing, and it's fine.
Well, I want to know why breakdancing? Why not like salsa or tango or like
true.
Like why?
But
it's a subjective dance form that like one person's move can be. Just like somebody else's move, and how do you grade that? And
I think a lot of this
sport.
I think a lot of this is on originality and rhythm to the song and stuff like that, as opposed to say, like if you're doing gymnastics, like hey, we are like synchronized diving, you all have to do one specific move, and you get graded on how well you execute the move.
And if it was like that, I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Sure,
from what I saw, it was not like that.
Yeah, and okay, so for me. It's cool. Like it's like more like a freestyle thing. That's fine. Let me see your originality, and I would pay attention if it were like just say some random event that was on like the Ocho. I'm like, okay, there's breakdancing. Let me tune in for a second to see what that, because maybe it's creative, and like though I don't care for dancing and or breakdancing, I respect the creativity and the artistry of what they're doing, the time they put into it. I'll check it out for a second and then probably turn away. But as far as the Olympics go, I'm not dedicating any of my resources to follow breakdancing, because I just don't think it as a traditional Olympic sport is not something I would probably want to watch.
Yeah. Did you see any of the Olympics?
Not really. I wish I would have watched a little more of the beach volleyball, but maybe a little bit more of swimming, but I didn't catch much of it. More a Winter Olympic guy. I like ice hockey. That's really the only thing that draws me into the Olympics.
Saw a good bit of it. I mean, I liked in the evening they had like the prime time in Paris kind of thing on NBC, and it would recap. It was like from 7 till 10 till the news, and they would show all the highlights of the day. So it wouldn't show like full events, but it would show like highlights of the. Watched a good bit of, try to keep up with the soccer, mostly women's soccer. Watched a lot of gymnastics. To watch the gymnastics, she's like, so what? It was like, this is sort of shit here. It's special.
Yeah, like
wasn't men's soccer ousted pretty early?
Yeah, the men were
always, yeah. I mean, it was nice to see the women get the gold medal after being so shitty in the World Cup last year. You know.
So yeah, I paid attention to like I guess the headline events, like obviously track and field 100, 200, 4x100 relay.
I did see the guy win the shot put gold for the third time in a row. That was pretty cool. Interviews. The primetime in Paris thing was nice. They had interviews because it was after the fact that it was live.
Yeah, it was a good recap for the day and the night
and different things like that.
Did you see the where Sha'Carri Richardson won the final in the relay?
Yes.
Man, that was awesome.
She can fly.
She made it, man.
Oh yeah,
She was the anchor runner on that relay.
On the relay team, yeah.
And
was
she when she started running like her lap or whatever, she was behind like 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
And she put on,
I know one of them had a world record or something.
Yeah,
she like the relay team.
Yes. She was very fast.
It was interesting that they had a mixed relay team. It was like men and women.
That was cool to see.
Yeah. Was that a new thing or something that they had mixed race? I mean, not mixed race, mixed gender.
Maybe this was the first or maybe the last Olympics was the first. But it's fairly. I think it's fairly new.
2 dudes and 2 women on the relay.
Now I did see the men's relay that came on right after the women's relay. And the men's relay.
Was that the one who got disqualified because of the handoff, the final handoff?
Dude, that was pathetic. We haven't won in that relay since like 24 years.
20 something years, yeah.
20
How
something
do you get disqualified for the handoff?
You have so much room to hand off.
They passed the spot, yeah.
And Carl Lewis went on Twitter or Instagram or wherever he went and was railing on the U.S. track and field for picking, I think, personalities versus the best, maybe so much athletes.
Kenny or Ninja Kenny? I don't know. Jamie's the one that actually followed him.
Right.
He wore the what was his name? You remember?
I forget the name.
Anyway, he went to go grab the baton, but it was like right after the little area. But that was one that Noah Nile was going to race as the anchor guy. Mm-hmm. But since he had COVID, he couldn't race.
Right.
He got COVID while he was there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He was. There was a lot of things going on outside of the actual events and competing at this Olympics. Like, there was, at least one female that got removed from the Olympic Village because she was fostering and not unsafe. It was an inappropriate environment.
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
You can do some research on it and her, but one lady got asked to leave because she was a lot of I guess inappropriate things going on in the Olympic Village and whatnot.
Well, but I do hear that is like an inappropriate fest of sorts. That people go there, athletes go there, and it's like a free for all type thing. It's like a tradition.
Yeah, it's been a thing for the last 2 Olympics that they talked about. It's been
that's why they put the cardboard beds instead of springs because they don't want.
Yeah, and like I don't know the exact details, but like there was something about like no condoms like at the village or something like it was just weird. But yeah, apparently this has been a thing for at least the last 2 or 3.
Orgy over there.
Hey, athletes are making and breeding with other athletes. I can't blame them.
Sounds natural to me.
Yeah, I can't blame them. I guess
they're making future Olympic champions.
Yeah. Somebody posted a video on Twitter of Tyrese Halliburton getting out of this vehicle after like 7 or 8 like blonde women. And somebody was like, yeah, whatever fake name they made up for his future kid is going to be like playing pickup basketball in the streets of Paris because Halliburton is with all of these, I guess they presume were Parisian women. And it was just funny, but like literally 6 or 7 women get out of this van and then he finally gets out with this smile on his face and his gold medal around his necklace. It's like, I mean, he's there. If he's single and have a good time. Who's to say who's to stop him and say he's having a good time?
But I'm assuming that this particular girl got put out because she went like extra.
She's probably, I don't know all the details, and I don't think they post all the details. But again, to be kicked out, you probably had to be doing some pretty wild things. I'm guessing. So
supposedly they ship out a shit ton of condoms to
Yeah.
hotels and stuff before they get there. So.
I mean, but hey, you're in a foreign country. For most people, you enjoy yourself. You're around a lot of beautiful people,
Nothing wrong with protection.
and a beautiful and attractive and athletic people.
In Paris.
Yeah, in Paris. The sights, the scenery, romance, food. I would expect that to be a thing, you know.
So 9 months from now, you're gonna see
we'll see how many
some
Olympic
little critters running off.
critters. It's a girl.
Some little critters.
Whole lot of fuck trophies.
Some little chitlins.
Staying on the topic of sports here, moving on from the Olympics. Yesterday we had the first Saints preseason game of the season. Does anybody want to weigh in on that topic? Did anybody watch?
I didn't see a whole lot of it, so.
I saw a little bit, and I'll say this: Spencer Rattler, Derek Carr needs to button things up. Spencer Rattler, I watched him in college at Oklahoma and South Carolina, and he is kind of feast or famine. The ceiling is very high. The floor can be very low for him. A lot of mistakes, a lot of bonehead mistakes, but he can absolutely create plays on his own, and he's much more mobile. Not super accurate yet, but he has a chance to kind of develop, I guess. But I say this: it might not be this year, but Derek Carr should be very, very aware that Spencer Rattler is around and on this team, and if something happens, I would feel okay with Rattler coming in. Let's say if Derek Carr had an injury or something like that, but Derek Carr needs to probably tighten some things up.
So you're taking Hayner right out of the conversation.
Yes. Rattler is so much better of an athlete and quarterback than Rayner could aspire to be, I believe.
Yeah, I was at a 40th birthday party last night, and they had the game on, but I was kind of like moving inside and outside, catching pieces of the game, and I was able to get, through the in and out, I was able to catch little glimpses of each of the three quarterbacks, and Derek Carr, of course, watched right when the game started. He only had the one drive, but he certainly didn't look impressive on it. He did get one first down. But also, I don't even want to fully blame it on Carr. I saw Olave not drop a ball, but could have probably made more of an effort for a ball. But yeah, needless to say, Carr didn't look very impressive. Hayner looked okay, but again, his drives ended in field goals. He didn't score any touchdowns. Rattler did have the touchdowns. He did have the game-winning drive to get the field goal in place. Nobody really wowed. I don't think I can pull out one particular Saints player of the game and basically say because in previous years I was able to kind of look at a guy and say oh, this guy should make the team because he's, again, I know it's only one game, so I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I don't think I really could pull out any one Saints player and say man, this guy really wowed. But I will say, probably Hayner's biggest play was his long connection with A.T. Perry, and I think if I could pull one thing out, we talked about this guy last year. I think A.T. Perry needs to have more of a prominent role in the Saints offense.
I was going to say that was the only player I thought, from what I could see or see on the stats, that stood out was A.T. Perry.
I don't think Allen likes A.T. Perry. I think that's the big issue.
Who knows what goes on behind the scenes or in the locker room and what he sees and what we don't. But
I think he had 4 catches for 85 yards, which is that's nothing to take you out of it.
Yeah, I personally, would like to see him be our everyday number 3 receiver. I'd like to see him jump Cedric Wilson in the on the depth chart. I'd like to see it be Olave, Shaheed, A.T. Perry. But I guess we got a long season ahead. We still got 2 more preseason games. I'm sorry, I forget we got rid of that game.
I think we need to pick up. We need to pick up another stud wide receiver.
We picked up so many wide receivers though, and they're all mediocrity at best.
Right.
Well, I did see. We're looking at the Puka Nacua. His brother Samson had a drop. On that final drive where that Rattler was able to get us in field goal range. So that was he's already probably a long shot to make the team, and dropping that ball on a critical situation probably didn't help his cause. But yeah, picked up a lot of receivers. I don't think any of them really kind of stand out as guys that are going to be like humongous role players, you know.
And then being that we have a very mediocre tight end with Foster Moreau, I mean, I don't know.
What one?
Are you completely ignoring Juwan Johnson?
That's true. But I want to say.
Oh wait, he's on the team.
Juwan's hurt right now too,
Yeah,
so I
he's
don't
hurt,
know how long that injury is. But, but no, I think our biggest question mark and why we were all probably so high on Brock Bowers in the draft is just knowing that we have a humongous question mark at tight end. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see as it goes on. I didn't see anything. I know Todd didn't really watch any of the game. I don't know if he has anything to
I didn't watch the game, but I mean, based off the stat sheet, I honestly couldn't really tell who had a better game between Hayner and Rattler. It looked like they both played better than Carr. A.T. Perry does seem to be the guy that stand out to me based off the receiving yards and the number of receptions and, of course, the 7-yard bomb that he caught from Hayner. And I do think, I've been saying this since last year, I think the guy does need to have a bigger role. It kind of stunned me last season when he didn't really start getting the games until the season was almost over. So hopefully A.T. Perry starts getting a bigger role. I mean, I never heard anything as far as Dennis Allen not liking him, but it could make sense being that he barely played last year. I guess the other thing I wanted to say regarding the Saints is I just completely lost my train of thought.
Line, receivers, defense,
talking about what?
Hayner.
Oh yeah, the receivers. Because we have just a ton of mediocrity there. You have Olave, you have Shaheed, you have A.T. Perry. Those are really the only guys that are kind of standing out. All these other guys that you signed are basically mediocrity. What really amazes me is that you have Amon St. Brown for the Lions, and we signed Equimanius. How do you say it?
Equimanius.
Yeah.
They're from the same gene pool, so like, how is Amon so good and this guy just so?
Well, how's Puka Nakua's brothers?
Yeah, Puka Nakua was so good and Samson Nakua so not. You know, so.
I'm about 4 or 5 days old. He's
bound to have some untapped talent there, right? And he didn't even play last night, right?
Same round.
Yeah.
I didn't see him.
I saw the injury report that the guys who were sitting out was pretty long. He may have been on it. I mean, I would like to see the guy pan out. You know, his brother's really good, so maybe there's some untapped talent there.
He was serviceable at he played Green Bay or the Bears? The
They played
Bears.
for both of them.
Yeah, that's right. He was fine, but again, he is a number 3 probably at best for most any team. So yeah, I don't have a ton of hope outside of Shaheed, Olave, and maybe them getting their act together with AT.
I mean, it seems like Cedric Wilson's supposed to be our clear-cut number 3, just based upon him being our big free agent acquisition. But I don't know if he played yesterday. I didn't see his name get called at any point. I never thought he was that good on any of the previous teams that he played for, with Dallas and Miami. So
I mean, and just looking at our division, I think we have second worst maybe receiving core, including tight ends of the division.
Definitely worse than Tampa for sure.
Yeah, Carolina, they're still dumpsters, so they're not great.
Yeah, I was going to
anywhere.
say, is it really second worst? And I was thinking, like, who the fuck does Carolina even have?
They got, I forget the one guy. Not really. Did he come over from the DJ Moore? No.
And they just got Deontay Johnson.
But yeah, we're going to be behind Atlanta and behind the Bucks in terms of receiving core group. And honestly, I think we're behind them in skill players too.
Yeah.
Other than Olave and Kamara, and maybe if you want to try to make a case for Shaheed somewhere, we are overwhelmed by our teams in our division at those skill positions. So I honestly think it's gonna be. We'll do it. We're having an episode coming up that we're gonna try to record where we do like our Saints season or season preview, and I'm not gonna be as optimistic as I was last year when I said we win 10 games, even though we were close to doing that. And we could have and probably should have. We probably overachieved in some ways in a few games, but our division either got better or they didn't get worse. And I don't think we have taken much of a step forward.
One thing I will say is the defense looks like it's going to be pretty solid.
But we've always had a pretty solid at the very least, top 12, 15 defense. So I think defense will be fine. We'll see if Cam Jordan can refine some of his form and get a few more sacks and make some more plays for us. But offensively, the indictment is, I can say this, I don't know. I don't know what the hell we're going to get from
It's safe to say that if Cam Jordan gets 3 sacks, that's an upgrade from last year.
Yeah. But Carr, it's not like he's young and getting better. He's older, and the skills and the speed and the whatever are going to diminish. So I just don't know what we're going to get out of him and his general health. The O-line is a real question. You got to figure that out still with injuries and whatnot. And as we just said, the receiving group doesn't really light a huge fire on them.
Like I said, I didn't watch any of the game yesterday. So how did the O-line look? Because it seems to me, if you look at it on paper, it looks like a bunch of Band-Aids. So
it's
how
hard.
did it actually hold together?
It's hard. I mean, it's hard to say. Like the starters were literally in there for 7 plays. So I mean, it's really hard to say.
Yeah, I couldn't make a judgment on the O-line, but just going by what we did last year.
Derek Carr did have a lot of pressure on one play where he had to kind of do the Drew Brees and throw the ball at the ground. But other than that, it looked like he had decent enough protection.
Yeah.
And really, when you think about it, we have 4 guys on the line that should be fairly decent. I mean, you have Ruiz, McCoy, Penning. Penning should be decent based upon where we drafted him.
Mm-hmm.
The only question mark
but he wasn't.
is one of the guard position, and then Fuaga, who we just drafted, is already penciled in as a starter. And then the one is the guard spot where we have, I think, a free agent pickup starting right now with a Salvadori guy, but supposedly Salvadori's been looking good, so we'll see. I don't know. I really I do agree that we do look like we have underwhelming as far as some of our offensive weapons, but at the same point, I am optimistic about our defense this year. I don't feel like we really have a hole on it. So hopefully they can keep us in game, and hopefully our offense can kind of be good enough. Yeah.
And I mean, the offense was not great last year, but they had moments and sparks, and like I kind of go back to the Green Bay game. We should have done more during that game, but when we made a couple drives to score or to get in position to score, you can see like little glimmers of like, okay, maybe it's not as bad as we think. And then you see how we shat that game away with not being able to score or match them when they were mounting a comeback. Some of that was on defense for letting them score and making that easy for them, but we also did not match them what they were doing.
That game, that 1-point loss was the difference between winning the division. So. Anyway. All right, so I agree. I think maybe next pod we should print out a Saints schedule and kind of research it beforehand and come in prepared with our picks as far as how we think we're going to who we think they're going to.
We did that last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
We guessed on what season was.
I think a lot of us had maybe around 9-10 wins. I think Sean picked lower. I don't remember exactly.
I might have even been 11 wins. I was super high.
I may have said like 9 and 8 or something.
Yeah, I think you did.
Because y'all were all saying like 10 or 11.
Yeah, I think I penciled for 10. You might have had 9. I think Todd and Travis had 11-ish.
Speaking of, because we were talking about a year ago, I just noticed some memories that today's the 10th anniversary of Robin Williams dying. And we gave him a shout out last year on
Yeah, wow.
August 11th. It said 2014 was the day he killed himself.
I mean, speaking of anniversary, but on a lighter note, hell, we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary within a week or so.
I thought it was. So it happened. It was our first pod that we gave a shout out.
Yeah, I believe so.
Like a shout out to Robin Williams and somebody else or something.
Actually, it was the second because we did the first one was at Mike's house, second one was at mine, and it was at my house that we did it when we barbecued we had a big old meat fest.
Yeah.
And we each picked our favorite Robin Williams movie.
Okay, there you go.
Well, now our very first pod was here.
Yes, that was the pilot.
Yeah.
Meat Fest under the gazebo.
Yeah, Meat Fest in the gazebo.
God damn, yeah, that seems like forever ago.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was only 1 year. Yeah, that feels like 2-3 years ago. I mean, well, we've had a lot of episodes. This recording is episode 31.
Wow.
And so technically 32 episodes and 23 top 5 lists. So we've done 50, over 50 something episodes of recordings. So
That's awesome.
that's a lot of stuff and content
Good job, us.
in a year. We haven't been canceled yet.
We haven't got canceled.
We got milestones and anniversaries.
Yeah.
We haven't got canceled by who? The FCC.
Ourselves.
We haven't gotten a lawsuit yet.
And in 2 weeks, we have our fantasy football draft. And guess what?
What?
Mike is coming back to the league.
I am. I gotta get with Russell to pick out a team name. I think I have one that Todd kind of suggested. I like it, but I'm gonna let Russell decide.
Please remove me.
But I had taken a little hiatus of 2-3 years, something like that.
I think 1 year, but yeah.
1 year, that's it. Okay, it seems like an eternity. So now I'm back and gonna do it again.
We peer pressured you back in.
Peer pressure back, yeah. I have the worst record in the league.
You did it. Were you in the league the same year as Newman was in the league?
Yeah, we were co-managing a team.
So he was co-managing with Newman 2 years ago, and in Newman, then he left, and Tommy jumped on his place.
Oh, okay.
And neither Tommy nor Brian could follow the team or keep up with it. But all right, we're glad to have you back. We're glad to pick Russell up in the league as well. I think he's going to have a good time. I mean, the fantasy football draft in and of itself is one of my favorite days of the year. And again, it's just a matter of, much like we do here, it's shooting the breeze, having some beers, going swimming. It's, to me, the draft is almost, it's way more fun than the actual season for me, especially if your team sucks.
It's like a guys trip, except we don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
We just get all in the pool together and
Down in the pool.
touch our wieners.
We can sell some of that water. I was actually listening to that episode today, while I was at the gym. So we could sell some of our pounding at the pool water, just like some of these other people online. So if y'all are interested in buying some pounding at the pool water from our fantasy football draft in a couple of weeks,
Someone order Mason George tomorrow from Amazon.
Yeah.
So you can start collecting.
just hit us up. But no, it's a good time, and we're definitely looking forward to it 2 weeks from now. On that note, does anybody have any people that they're really eyeing for this draft, and where y'all in your spots? I mean, Mike, you'll probably have the first pick in the draft, so.
Looked at it, but again, it's something that it's me and Russell, and we're gonna put our
Say
heads
Christian
together.
McCaffrey, we know that.
Yeah, but he's always getting hurt.
He's already hurt, so it might be a bust this season. So.
Has anyone started draft prep yet? Like mock drafts or just making buying a magazine? I know Sean used to buy, or maybe still does, buy the magazines
I haven't
beforehand.
bought a magazine yet. I'll probably end up buying that same one because I have the last freaking 20 issues of it.
Look, I'm going to be honest.
But I just looked at some stuff online. That's about it.
Todd and I ended up winning last year, and I think the most in previous years I would actually buy magazines and research and even somewhat rank players, and ended up finding that it didn't really help. Last year I actually did my free work league, or not free, but it was significantly cheaper than our league. Did that draft and actually had Carson do it for me, but I was just kind of watching where players were going in that draft and kind of used it as a guide on where they might go in ours. I think we had the 10th pick in that league, and we ended up having the 2nd pick in this league, so it wasn't quite the same people I'd be drafting, but I got to kind of see where most people were falling in the draft. So that, I guess, helped a little bit.
I'll probably do a few mocks as the week of. I've done 2 so far, only because I was on a conference call and I was muted and I was bored out of my mind. So I was like, let me just fire up something, because I was trying to help someone figure out what they want to do for fantasy football. So I was looking up average draft positions online on ESPN, and it just happened to be while I was there. Like, let me just find a mock group to join. So I've done one or two. I won't do a ton of prep. I'll probably get with Sean and I'll have a list of players that like I would like to look at drafting, and we'll kind of go back and forth on what he thinks. We might want to take them and go from there, but my draft prep is definitely not like super, super intense.
It figures our draft is first because it depends on every year. It's like my work league, ours is the 24th, work league is the 27th, and then the one with the men's club is the November 4th, literally the day before the season starts. So ours is going to just be like, okay, let's see what happens. 9th pick, so it's going to be like, all right, off the 9th, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the best is just not to stress over it and just wait for the day and just see what happens,
But Travis, like you said, the best part of our league, and it's not to diminish the league, it's a fairly competitive league for the most part. The best part of the league is the draft day ceremony ahead of time.
Down. We come to Travis's, we swim in the pool, we have a nice keg in the kegerator, we go to my house and draft. It's an all day fun experience.
Yeah, and for the draft, like the draft is fun, but the shit talking of the other draft members' picks is also fun. Because there's always be some just off the wall stuff, and someone's gonna like go to put their pick on the board and try to explain why they picked this person, and sometimes it feels like they're probably trying to talk themselves into it in their own head as opposed to telling us why they're. No offense to Ian, I think Ian does this a lot.
Oh yeah,
Ian will big a pick and roll like really. He's one that kind of starts. So I was like really, and he'll give a little soliloquy on why he picked this player, and we're like, are you trying to sell me or yourself? Because
Ian and Doug are the ones that will also throw like the backhand comments at you when you put your pick up there. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh yeah, that guy could have went in like the 2 rounds from now, or probably get hurt week 1. Or I thought about making that pick, but he's just he's just on this team, and they're not going to do this. They're not going to play as good this season.
Well, on that note, we got a lot to look forward to in the upcoming weeks. We've got Saints season coming, preseason finishing up and the actual season starting, fantasy draft approaching. Definitely a lot to look forward to for the Wagons, our 1-year anniversary. So, on that note, Wagons out.
Wagons out.
Wagons out.